What's going on, guys? Mike here. Glad to be back. Kicking off a little bit of a series. What I'm going to be doing is answering questions. I get asked questions all the time about strategy, about branding or marketing. And what I want to do is take those questions that I get. I love answering them. I love engaging some of these topics. And just maybe once a week, putting out a video that answers at least one question, if not more. So what I've done, I've created a form, and the link is down in the description below. If you have a question, you can throw that question at me, give me your contact info, an email address, and then that way, if you use the form, when the question is about to go live, I will email you and let you know, hey, this is going to be answered on my channel. Of course, you can always just shoot a question down in the comments below if you don't want to provide more information, and then just like watch this channel religiously so that you don't miss it. In case your question got answered. All right, so let's jump into it. Today I want to answer a question from Bhavesh. He runs an agency, a marketing agency in India. Bhavesh has been a subscriber to the channel for a couple of years. We kind of communicate once in a while back and forth. And he asked the following question. In India, clients, especially small businesses, don't have much clarity with what they want to achieve with marketing. So, how to help them get better clarity and make our lives as service providers easier? I really like this question because, funny enough, Bhavesh says, well, in India, this is a problem. But quite frankly, small businesses and even big corporations not having a clear sense of marketing's contribution to the business or on a project level, that's universal. I don't think that's unique to India. And so I'm really glad to have this question because I think it applies to any of us that work in this space. Now, when I think of this, I think of two things. If a client is struggling to understand how marketing, if they don't have clarity around marketing and how it connects to the business, that can be on two levels. One could be on a project level, meaning there's a marketing project that the client has requested, but there's not a lot of clarity on the project itself, how important it is, measures of success. We're just kind of doing stuff, and that's typical. We kind of, as marketers, know the various tactics. We jump in, we're doing social media, we're creating print materials and websites and so on. But we never really think about, we don't have clarity on like, why are we doing this and how does it fit into the bigger picture? So we'll talk about that on the project level. There's another level though, where clients, especially small businesses, don't understand how marketing can contribute to their business and their overall goals. So we'll talk about that secondly. So let's talk about the project level. Essentially what I try to do when I'm working with a client is I try to ask a lot of the why questions. So let's take old school. Let's just say that a client wants to do a brochure, a general brochure. A project like that can easily be a $20,000 job when you get graphic designer in for $5,000, maybe a writer in for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. You're going to run a little photography for it. Then you're going to design this thing, lay it out. You're going to have it printed. You could be easily $20,000 in, $10,000, $20,000 in to have this beautiful multi-page brochure. So I might sit with the client initially and say, just tell me a little bit about the project. How many pages? What's the general message? How do you envision using this thing? What are the timelines, deadlines, and so on? That's just good to start there. It just gets people in the process of talking about the job. But what I'll often do is then shift gears and say, okay, well, tell me a little bit about this. Why are you doing this? Sometimes just asking that very straightforward, why are you doing this project? And they'll talk a little bit about, our sales team are complaining. They don't have anything to leave behind. They feel like they need to leave behind. Well, why is that? And the more you start to ask the why question, you're peeling the onion. You're kind of acting like a doctor. And you're trying to figure out, where's the pain? There's something that hurts. Now, the client may not always be able to articulate this. You might have to help them. But this is a collaborative discussion. You're asking them good why questions, open-ended, they're talking, and as they talk and you're getting more info, you're trying to dial into what's really going on here. So in the example of the the brochure that the salespeople want to leave behind, what you may discover is that the salespeople at the end of their initial meeting with a prospect don't know what to do. And they feel like, I need to give the customer, the prospect, something because we're at the end of this meeting and there's no clear way to close the meeting. So I give them this brochure that kind of ties a knot, puts a little bow on the meeting. And then my information is with them in case they want to get in touch with me. Hopefully they'll read it and they'll call me back. It'll remind them of me while I'm not there. Now the customer on the other side of the prospect, I should say, they kind of like the brochure too because the brochure is non-binding. Like if you give me a brochure, I'm not obligated to do it. Oh, thank you. I received the brochure. I act very grateful for it. And then when I put it on my desk very prominently while you're there, and then we shake hands and say goodbye, and then it's going to sit there for days, weeks, and then I'm going to throw it out. I'm probably never going to read that $20,000 brochure. But you feel better as a salesperson having left it behind, and I like it because it doesn't commit me to anything. I say, oh yeah, I'll take a look. Yeah, absolutely. I'll let you know. It's very non-committal. What you may discover as you talk to your client or on this is that the real thing, the real pain isn't that the salespeople need to leave behind. It's that there's no clear next step that your salespeople feel confident in getting their prospect to agree to. So the real issue isn't so much that they need a brochure to leave behind. The real issue is the sales process needs work, and maybe the salespeople need training. Now, I know maybe you don't do sales work, maybe you don't do sales training, but the opportunity there is to say, look, totally create a leave behind for you. But what if we created a leave behind that didn't cost 20 grand? What if we created a leave behind that was a $5,000 thing and it just provided the basic information, sales guy or gal says something to leave behind? But what if we then audited your sales process? Because to me, it sounds like something's broken here. And the reason I'm telling you I want to do this for you is because I think I could help increase your close rate. You see, if we can help your salespeople be better early on and get a better commitment, they don't even have to close the prospect. I keep saying client. All they have to do is get that prospect to agree to a follow-up step, to agree to participate in a well-defined, reasonable process of exploration together. Then at the end of that meeting, your sales rep should have some type of commitment. And if they don't get the commitment, then at least it's clear where the intentions of the prospect are. They're really not interested, or maybe there's an alternate route that they have to go to, or maybe they put that prospect in a B or C category where they're not that hot. So we'll just kind of nurture and maintain them over time. But the prospects are like, yeah, you know what? I'll do that next step. We'll have a follow-up. I'll do some research. You're going to follow up and provide me info. Let's have a follow-up discussion. Then you're moving closer to a close. So I think I can help you improve your close rate. Right now, you're telling me about 20% of these meetings turn into a deal. What if I could bump that to 30%? What would that mean for you revenue-wise? So right there, you're showing not necessarily that project is valuable, although it might be. You dig in and there might be a very good reason for that project, and then you can anchor that project to that good reason. But you might help that client discover the real pain like a doctor would and say, I can treat the symptoms. I can do that. I can make the brochure. But I think there's a deeper opportunity. There's a better, more valuable, more transformative opportunity. So that's the first scenario. I'm trying to be like a doctor, and I'm trying to get to the root issue. And whatever the root issue is, it might be very clearly connected to that brochure. Then beautiful. We all agree on it. We're all clear on why this is important, and we know how to measure it. But if you're not clear, there's no clarity, I might be able to help you find the real issue, and that's valuable. Now I'm a really valuable partner to you, not just a service provider. Now, how do you help a business that really doesn't understand the value of marketing in general? It's a small business. Maybe they've gotten in touch with you, but they really think about the marketing service as an overhead. It's just an expenditure. And because of that, they're trying to spend as little as possible. What I try to do here is, especially if I'm working with a small business owner, is to say, tell me a little bit about your goals. What is it that you are trying to accomplish with your business? And I don't want fluffy things. People sometimes are a little cagey about numbers. What kind of revenue do you want to generate? What kind of percent growth do you want to see? Like, what are your goals for the next year to 3-5 years? Get them to talk about those goals. Maybe the guy wants to sell his business at some point. That's a big goal for him. Maybe he wants to double sales over the next 3 years. Maybe he wants to increase his net margins, keep sales the same, but get more margin. Once I know that, then the next question is, well, what strategies do you have that you're trying to implement? Now, these strategies can be formalized. I went through a formal process. Here are the strategies. It could be informal. A lot of small business owners, the strategy just kind of sits up here. As long as they can articulate, here's my general strategy. Here's how I'm going about doing that. Once you have a clear picture of their goals and the general strategy that they're using to accomplish those goals, then you can connect the marketing function to those things. Those are really important things. And you can start to talk about, well, how can marketing help deliver on those goals? How can marketing fit into those strategies? If the strategy is to grow organically through sales, just get out there and do lots of sales. Maybe marketing can do a couple things. Maybe I can create for you a digital funnel online where you're able to convert people online and transact with them in a digital model. Or maybe I can create a sort of automated funnel that's going to deliver regular prospects, leads for your sales team. If I can do those things, then you as an owner are looking, going, okay, I totally see the value in this. This guy isn't trying to get me just to do all kinds of marketing busy work. Make sure you're on Instagram, or make sure you're, writing great content and doing lots of keyword stuff. He's showing me very specific ways that marketing can deliver on my goals. I'm willing to pay for that because that goal makes me money. That goal gets me to where I want to be. That kind of repositions marketing from this overhead, this expenditure, to more of a revenue generator, a contributor to the health and the success of the business. So those are the two ways. One is to be on the project level, more like a doctor, trying to probe and to ask questions and to diagnose where the real pain is, and then try to help fix that, solve that if I can. The other is to help the owner or the small business to understand, first articulate what their goals and strategies are, and then educate them on how marketing can help deliver on those. And by doing that, that helps give your prospect clarity on the value of marketing and the fact that they're doing the right projects, the right work to get to the right end results. I hope this is useful, Bhavesh. I hope this answered your question. And for all of you listening and watching, I hope this was useful to you. Guys, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done it already. If you have a question, you don't have to be a subscriber, but if you have a question, just click the link. Throw a comment down below or click the link, fill out the quick form. It would be my pleasure to try to answer that for you. In the meantime, please know I love you all, and I'll catch you in the next video.